I've picked up some work from an old teacher of mine that involves decorating and wrapping gifts for a program he is the director of. They have had problems with gifts being stolen before, but still want the Christmas tree to have gifts under it. Where I work, I can get a lot of boxes and scored a good deal on some wrapping paper and ribbons, so I get some empty boxes from work and wrap them up using pine cones to give them some weight. Only in the last one, I placed a red and silver glitter bomb inside. To be sure and maybe use it as a prank later, I used the ribbons to mark the gift boxes and take pictures just in case I forget. There was a total of 9 placed under the tree. Not even a week after putting them out, 3 gifts go missing. A bit worried but mostly annoyed, the director and I brush it off but tell the other employees volunteers to keep their eyes open. The day after, one of the volunteers is yelling at the receptionist while covered in red and silver glitter. Apparently, the lady thought they had given her 2 kids, an 8-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy, gifts, only to find out that it was just yard trash inside. The lady then opened the 3rd gift, and her whole house was covered in glitter. She demanded money for cleaning and emotional distress. Honestly, she was laughed out by the director who told her to leave. I learned this today from a volunteer who said the glitter bomb was an AH thing to do. Even when I pointed out the gift had been stolen, other volunteers agreed and said I was an AH. Even though the director told me it was funny and was sorry he didn't get it first. The kids still come to the programs but are picked up and dropped off by their dad, who is annoyed by the glitter he keeps finding. The kids also apologized for taking the gifts because their mother told them to. So am I the AH for making a glitter bomb that got stolen? Edit. The glitter bomb was not meant to catch a thief. It was meant to be a prank on the director who loves glitter. Some of the volunteers have been working with the director for years, so he trusts them, and I would like to believe they are not thieves. The years before, all gifts were stored in an unlocked supply closet. The director has changed it this year and trusts me with the more valuable items. The gifts were set up on a stage that is 4 feet off the ground. It was set up to look like a living room, and the 2 access doors to get up on the stage were locked. A kid jumping up on stage would have been noticed. All employees and volunteers of the community centre should have been told the gifts on stage were just for decoration. Only a few employees knew one box had glitter in it in case it needed to be moved. The woman who stole the gifts is banned from the centre, but her kids and husband are allowed to attend. The kids have also apologised for taking the gifts and like my ribbons and glitter. An officer that patrols the area had to escort the woman out, but told us that we couldn't press charges because there was no monetary loss on our end. While the staff and director get a good laugh about this event, most of the volunteers are not too happy with me. One has already tried to tell me the wrong date of a meeting, not knowing the director can text me himself, and vice versa. Edit 2. Found out the volunteers' parents were mad at me because their children have been looking up how to make glitter bombs with concerning results. I was told to call them glitter storms now. I can expect to be covered in glitter for the following days. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. How the heck could you be? If that thieving witch wants sympathy, she can find it between excrement and syphilis in the dictionary. Not the jerk, NTA. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Not like you put a flamethrower inside and the house burned down. Now everyone knows she's a thief and no true harm done. Now for the update. Thanks to everyone who read my last post. It's been a wild couple of weeks since then, and I've got quite the story to tell. After the glitter bomb incident, things at the community centre took a turn I never expected. The director, who initially found the whole situation amusing, started to see the fallout. The volunteers, who were already upset with me, began to distance themselves. They'd give me cold looks and conversations would stop when I walked into the room. I tried to brush it off, but it was clear I was being iced out. The kids, bless their hearts, kept apologising every time they saw me. Their dad, who had been annoyed by the glitter, actually started to warm up to me. He said he understood why I did it, even if he didn't agree with the method. We had a few laughs about the glitter that seemed to multiply by the day. It was nice to have at least one adult not treating me like I was the Grinch, but things got worse. The volunteers started a petition to have me removed from the programme. They said I was a bad influence and that my prank had set a poor example for the kids. The director was put in a tough spot. He had to balance his loyalty to his long-time volunteers with the fact that I hadn't really done anything wrong, at least not intentionally. Then, one day, I came into the centre to find one of my wrapped boxes sitting on my desk. My heart sank. I knew what was coming. I opened it, and a cloud of blue and green glitter exploded into the air. The volunteers had retaliated. It was everywhere, in my hair, on my clothes, in my mouth. I couldn't help but laugh at the irony, but the laughter didn't last long. The director called me into his office later that day. He looked tired, worn down by the tension the incident had caused. He told me that while he didn't want to do it, he had to ask me to step back from the programme. The volunteers had threatened to walk out if I stayed, and he couldn't run the program without them. I was devastated. I'd put so much into this place, and to be pushed out over a prank gone wrong felt so unfair. I packed up my things that day, the glitter from the retaliation bomb still clinging to me. As I left, I saw the kids watching from a distance. Their eyes were sad and it broke my heart. I'd wanted to make their Christmas special, and instead, I'd become a cautionary tale. The next few days were rough. I kept replaying everything in my head, wondering if there was something I could have done differently. The director texted me a few times to check in, but it wasn't the same. I missed the noise of the centre, the laughter of the kids, the sense of purpose I had felt there. Then, the sad resolution came. The program had its Christmas party and I wasn't there. I heard from the director that it went well, but I couldn't shake the feeling of loss. I had been replaced, and the program moved on without me. The kids had a great time, and the volunteers managed to pull together an event that was bigger and better than ever. I realized that sometimes, no matter how good your intentions are, things can still fall apart. I had wanted to protect the program and add a little fun, but instead I ended up causing more harm than good. It's a lesson I won't soon forget. The community centre was a big part of my life, and now that I'm no longer there, there's a void that's hard to fill. I've learned that actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences can be more far-reaching than you ever imagined. I hope the kids still think of me fondly, and maybe one day I can go back and visit. But for now, I'm just the person who got kicked out for a glitter bomb prank. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Oh honey, you went full Home Alone on them with that glitter bomb. While I'm all for a good prank, maybe next time stick to whoopee cushions. You've got a heart of gold, but let's keep the glitter in the crafts box, shall we? Comment 2. I get where you were coming from, but pranks can backfire. If you want to mend fences, why not volunteer to help clean up the glitter mess? Actions speak louder than words, and it might just show everyone you're truly sorry for the unintended chaos. Now for the next story. I, 24-year-old male, walked out in the middle of my dad/step-family's Thanksgiving last week. I was not raised religious, but my father married into an extremely Mormon family when I was about 14. My stepmom isn't actively LDS anymore, but she still is very close with her family. I'm not close to any of them, but I'll still attend family gatherings and act civil because it makes my dad happy. This year, I stormed out in the middle of dinner, and nobody has spoken to me since. These family gatherings are extremely overwhelming for me. When I say they're extremely Mormon, I mean extremely Mormon. My step-grandfather was a bishop for many years and already has 6 great-grandkids at the age of 75. Every year it seems like there are 3 or 4 new babies, all of my cousins married before the age of 20. I have been sitting at the kids' table with said cousins for a while, but this year I noticed something different. I noticed that all the cousins my age got to sit at the adults' table after they returned from their mission or got married. I am the oldest of the cousins but have not been invited. I was stuck sitting with a group of 10-15-year-olds I only saw once a year. I don't do well with kids and was pretty much forced to babysit them. After a few minutes of tolerating baby talk, I went to move my plate to the adults' table. I was told that there wasn't room. I jokingly asked if I needed to get married to sit at the adult table. My step-grandmother then told me that marriage is how women become real adults, so usually yes. This comment blew me away for a few reasons. Misogyny aside, I came out to them as transgender a few months ago and have been on testosterone to the point where I am obviously not a woman to anyone with eyes. My dad took it poorly at first, but has been making an effort to try harder and accept me. It's really hard for both of us, but I appreciate that he's trying, so I try to meet him halfway, i.e. going to Thanksgiving. The Mormon family has taken it extremely poorly. They have made no effort to learn more about me and respect who I am. They've never liked that I'm the opposite of a good LDS girl. They Photoshop all my piercings and tattoos out of family photos. They used to be polite to me, but this comment from step-grandma was extremely intentional and pointed. I put my plate in the sink and left without saying a word. I called my dad later in the evening to apologize for leaving without saying goodbye, and he declined my call. I tried again and he declined it again. I have not heard from anyone in the family since Thursday. Am I the idiot? Edit. It was extremely obvious when I left. I wasn't exactly subtle when closing doors and leaving my plate. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk. I wouldn't even try with these people. They don't accept you unless you fit into their shallow ideals, and you don't need to be hurt by them any longer. It doesn't sound like your dad is meeting you halfway. You'll make your own family, one based on love and acceptance. Comment 2. Not the jerk. You really do not need this in your life. They are being very disrespectful. Regardless of your life choices, you deserve to be treated as an adult. You do not need them in your life. If they want to apologize, let them come to you. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a wild couple of weeks since Thanksgiving, and a lot has happened. I figured I'd share what's been going on since I know some of you were concerned or curious about how things would pan out. After the whole Thanksgiving debacle, things were pretty tense. My dad didn't return my calls for a few days, which was rough. I was worried I'd really messed things up with him, but I also felt like I had to stand up for myself, you know. It's not easy when you're trying to balance your own well-being with family expectations. Finally, my dad texted me. It was a simple, "We need to talk," but man, did my heart sink. We agreed to meet up at a local diner, neutral ground. The conversation was tough. He admitted he was embarrassed by how I left, but he also said he understood why I did it. He's been stuck in the middle of this whole thing, trying to keep the peace between me and his new family. We both got a little emotional, and he actually apologized for not standing up for me at the dinner. That meant a lot. We didn't solve everything that day, but it was a start. He's still learning, and I'm still trying to be patient with him. It's a process, but I think we're both committed to working on our relationship. As for the rest of the Step family, well, that's a different story. I haven't spoken to any of them since the incident. I've heard through the grapevine that they're not too happy with me, but honestly, I'm not too bothered by it. I've got enough on my plate without worrying about their approval. But here's where things get a bit more complicated. My stepsister, who's always been kind of neutral in all this, reached out to me. She said she felt bad about how things went down and wanted to talk. We met up for coffee, and it was actually really nice. She's not like the rest of them. She's more open-minded and doesn't really buy into all the strict traditions. We had a heart-to-heart, and she even apologized for not speaking up during dinner. It was unexpected but appreciated. We've been texting back and forth since then, and it's been nice to have at least one ally in the family. She's been giving me updates on the family drama, and it's been, well, a lot. Apparently my leaving caused quite the stir, and there's been some tension at their gatherings since then. I can't say I'm sorry about that, but just when I thought things might be settling down, another curveball got thrown my way. My step-grandmother, the one who made the comment that set me off, sent me a letter. Yeah, an actual handwritten letter. It was, I don't know, kind of surreal. She didn't apologize exactly, but she said she wants to understand where I'm coming from. She asked if we could meet and talk things out. I haven't responded yet. Part of me is curious, maybe even hopeful, that this could be a step towards some kind of reconciliation. But another part of me is skeptical. Can someone with such strong beliefs really change their mind? I don't know. So, that's where I'm at right now. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm still trying to figure out what to do about my step-grandmother's letter. Do I meet with her and see if we can find some common ground? Or do I protect myself from potential hurt and keep my distance? It's a tough call. I guess only time will tell how this will all play out. Thanks again for all the support. It's been a lifeline during all this craziness. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, it's tough when family doesn't get it, but kudos to you for standing up for yourself. Maybe consider writing a letter to your step-grandma, explaining your feelings and perspective. It's a way to communicate without the pressure of a face-to-face meeting and could open a dialogue. Comment 2. Navigating the family minefield while being true to yourself? That's like playing emotional twister. If your step-grandma's reaching out, maybe give her a chance. Worst case, you'll get material for a unalived stand-up routine about awkward family reconciliations. Keep your chin up. Now for the next story. I, 46-year-old male, recently finalized my divorce with my now ex-wife Liza, 41-year-old female. We were only married for 3 years, and the cause for divorce was financial issues. We had separate bank accounts for our own savings and checking accounts for our salaries. I did create an extra account for her, where I would deposit money monthly as fun spending money, since I make significantly more, and wanted her to have less financial stress. Even with this setup, she would consistently go over the limit and even take lots of cash out of my wallet and personal safe without informing me. When we were married, she and her 2 kids, 18-year-old male and 16-year-old female, from her previous relationship moved into my house that I own, and I paid for them to go to a private high school. Their dad is in their life, so they never saw me as anything other than the guy who married their mum, but I understand that because they met me much later in their lives and not as little kids. Regardless, I tried to keep a good relationship, but neither of them ever wanted that and made me feel like an ATM. I got a really thorough prenup made before we married, so I basically kept everything I have, except for some alimony I have to pay every month. After the divorce, Liza and her kids moved out, and I informed her that I have closed the bank account I made for sending her money, and I'm going to stop paying for the kids' private school tuition after this school year is over. So that way, at least they finish the year out and have a few months to figure out their next plans and transferring. It's been about 3 months since then, and I got a nasty call from her saying she can't afford rent anymore, so she and the kids have to move in with her mother, and basically berated me for taking away the credit card attached to my bank account. Apparently, the kids have also had to stop some of their extracurricular sports because she can't pay for the programs. She said I left her in poverty, and she had to apply for government assistance and food stamps. Also, when we were married, I had mentioned potentially paying for her kids' college tuition when the time comes, but it was never a set thing. Apparently, she still thought this offer was on the table and mapped out how her son just got accepted to his dream school and the cost of attendance will be $80,000 per year, so she wanted to know how I would be sending the funds for this. I just told her she's crazy if she thinks I'm giving up my hard-earned money for someone else's kids I have no ties to anymore, and that I covered her bills completely for 3 years, so she should have saved her salary instead of blowing through it on designer items. A lot of her family and friends, as well as her kids' dad, are all calling me saying I need to provide for the kids at least because I'm their stepdad, and that's a lifelong commitment. Also, according to them, it's not fair that I'm taking away their opportunities to be at a fancy private school and college, especially when I have the money to pay for all of it and maintain their lifestyle as it was when they lived with me. So, am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. She can't blame you for not being an ATM and making her choices. I guess it would have been different if you raised the kids for like 15 years, had things in writing and they called you a dad but 3. Comment 2, not the idiot. Sounds like your ex needs a reality check. Well, actually, it sounds like she's in the middle of receiving one and doesn't like it much. Now for the update. Thanks to everyone who read my last post. It's been a few days since I shared my situation, and a lot has happened since then. I thought I'd give you all an update on the chaos that's been my life. The day after I posted, Liza's mum called me. I was surprised because we never really talked much, even when Liza and I were married. She was crying, saying she understood why I was upset but begged me to reconsider paying for the kids' tuition. She said it wasn't about Liza or me, but about giving the kids a chance. I felt for her, I really did, but I stood my ground. I explained that I had already been more than generous and that it was time for Liza to step up. The next day, I ran into Liza's son at the grocery store. It was awkward. He looked like he wanted to say something but just ended up nodding and walking away. I could tell he was angry and I don't blame him. I guess he's caught in the middle of all this and that's not fair to him. That evening I got a text from Liza's daughter. She's the more outspoken one and she didn't hold back. She accused me of abandoning them and said that I was the reason their lives were falling apart. It stung, but I reminded myself that she's just a kid and she's lashing out because she's scared. I didn't reply. What could I say that would make any difference? The following day, things took a turn for the worse. Liza showed up at my house unannounced. She was a mess, tears streaming down her face, mascara running. She begged me to help them out, just until she could get back on her feet. I felt a pang of guilt seeing her like that, but I remembered all the times she took advantage of my generosity. I told her I couldn't keep bailing her out. She got angry, said some things I won't repeat, and stormed off. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the kids. They didn't ask for any of this. I started to wonder if I was being too harsh. But then I remembered the years of feeling like nothing more than a wallet to them. It's a mess of emotions, and I'm not sure what to feel. Yesterday I got a call from Liza's ex-husband, the kid's dad. He was surprisingly calm. He said he understood my position, but also made it clear that he couldn't afford the private school or the college tuition on his own. He suggested we meet up and talk about it man to man. I agreed, thinking maybe we could come to some sort of understanding. We met at a coffee shop this morning. It was civil at least. He explained that he's been trying to get more hours at work, but it's tough. He said he doesn't expect me to pay for everything, but asked if there was any way I could contribute to the kids' education, even if it's just a small amount. I told him I'd think about it, but I made no promises. After the meeting, I felt even more conflicted. On one hand, I don't want to be responsible for Liza and her kids anymore. On the other, I can't help but feel for the kids. They're just caught in the crossfire of our failed marriage. And now, here I am, sitting at home, trying to make sense of it all. I keep getting texts from Liza's friends and family, telling me I'm heartless. I've started to ignore them. I've got enough on my plate without their input. So that's where things stand. I'm torn between wanting to wash my hands of this whole situation and feeling guilty about the kids. I know I'm not their dad, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm letting them down. It's a tough spot to be in, and I'm not sure what the right move is. I guess only time will tell. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Oh buddy, you're not an ATM machine with endless cash withdrawals. It's like you're in a financial horror movie where the ex just keeps coming back for more. Stand your ground, man. Those kids have a dad, and it's not your job to bankroll their entire lives. You did your part. Now it's time for Liza to learn budgeting isn't just a fancy word in a dictionary. Comment 2. Hey there, it's tough to step away from a family you've been a part of, especially when it comes to the kids. But you've got to look after your own well-being too. It's not abandoning them, it's setting boundaries. If you're feeling generous, maybe set up a small college fund that's within your means, but don't let guilt dictate your finances. You've done more than enough, and it's okay to say no. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.